podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
They're very pretty, Colonel. Very pretty. But can they fight?
Yes, sir.
I hope you're right.
Very pretty, Colonel, but can they fight? That quote is, of course, from the Dirty Dozen. And I've put in mind of the Millwall team last night in the wake of last night's 4-0 shellacking by Coventry City. Joining me to chew over the cud from that woeful result is a man who's seen a few shellackings in his day himself. It's Merv Payne. How you doing, Merv?
Not too bad, Nick. Yeah, well, considering last night's performance or result, yeah, not too bad, really. Yeah.
I'm in a very strange position on Twitter of Coventry fans offering reasons for us to be cheerful. Whether they've got a bloke here saying Coventry fan here. I thought Millwall were a bit unlucky in the box last night. The ball just didn't roll for you at times. The game was more open than I wanted, Coventry. I think you'll be more than fine and still in the mix. I've been getting a couple of messages like that from Coventry fans. I find it quite strange.
Yeah, I've seen a few of them on Facebook as well. They seem like quite a...
I think they mean it. I don't think they've got any side to them. I think they mean it,
I suppose it's quite easy to be diplomatic and to be that sort of gushing if you've just won 4-0 away, I suppose, isn't it? It's
magnanimous.
They're obviously on a high, aren't they, after that? But, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm annoyed or just confused or a bit bewildered by it all, really. Yeah, I mean, a season that sort of promised so much.
Yeah,
we've got to keep making the excuse of the injuries, haven't we? Because we know Alex Neil's not had a full strength team to pick from.
That's true.
I mean, other teams have injuries, and you think
suspensions, injuries, all sorts of things.
You think we've got a strong enough squad now. We've spent more and bought more than we've ever done. We should have a strong enough squad to at least put up a fight. I don't think.
Well, it's the fight word. I mean, that's the reason why, listeners, if you're wondering what if I've lost the plot, why I've gone for a quote from the Dirty Dozen with Donald Sutherland. It's very pretty. We've got some really nice, attractive players, players that can do stuff, but they don't seem to have any fire in the belly, or it doesn't strike me so, Merv. And by that, I think everyone listening to this show will know what I mean by Millwall and the Millwall spirit, where lesser players can rise above themselves. And I mean, in all honesty, I was there last night, and someone mentioned that we had some good chances late. Well, by the time we were getting our best chances, we were 3 goals down, Merv. We didn't create a pot in front of goal. That's a problem. No. Approach play, nice, some really nice moves, but.
Yeah, I mean, our strikers are coming for some stick, and rightly so, because the pair of them have got 1 goal between them, and we're in October. But as I keep pointing out, you can't blame strikers if they're not getting opportunities anyway. And people will say, "Oh, Coburn's missed a few sitters." I think he's probably had about half a dozen actual chances presented to him all season so far, and he's scored one of them. Ivanovic has not had much joy at all. We just don't seem to pose any sort of attacking threat. It's really hard to watch, and that goes back to Swansea on Saturday. I watched that game, and it was so frustrating because we seem to have this. We start, we get the ball and we come out really slowly, and the players don't look like they know who to pass it to. And inevitably, after about 2 or 3 passes, it's either lumped aimlessly towards the corner flag or just conceded. And I remember thinking, well, if we play us against Coventry, we're in big trouble because they're full of goals. Yeah,
and they play that style very well, Merv. The triangle passing.
Yeah. Well, this is it. We actually played, I thought, when we started quite brightly, and the passing looked crisp. And there's a few times when we played some nice little pretty triangles and set Imaku on his way down the left, and you thought, oh, this is promising. But as we've always said, the crucial turning point is that first goal. Now, when we beat Watford at home a few weeks ago, obviously we got that early goal with a free kick, and it sort of settled the team down. But I made a few comparisons last night on X to the Joe Edwards era, which people probably think is a bit hysterical. But what it reminded me of was under Joe Edwards. Obviously, we were so keen for it to work because he was this new young coach, and we were going to play this bright new football. It was going to be a breath of fresh air after Gary Rowett. And we were desperate for it to work, and we often start games. Funnily enough, Coventry away under Joe Edwards being one of these, we'd start quite brightly, and you think, okay, this is all right. The minute we concede, you sense that, oh, here we go again, or what do we do now? And it's then just a matter of how many they're going to score.
Well, that's what struck me last night, Merv. I mean, as soon as they went one ahead, inwardly, I'm thinking, it's we're only a goal behind, but the task becomes steeper, and we don't seem to respond well to adversity. And I think I caught myself doing this last night when I was speaking into my phone. You start going over all the old classic players. The Herlock is the classic. And it's easy and unfair on a modern game that isn't like it used to be. But you do look for some form of some passion, spirit, whatever you want to call it, and that's the bit that wasn't apparent to me. We were playing some attractive passing triangles,
we do.
And one or two moments I thought, wow, so you can't knock that. But when it gets to the business part, the penalty area, and
the final product it's virtually non-existent. I think Imaku had a decent little chance, little shot from the edge of the area. I think 15 minutes into the second half, but other than that, he looks great. He picks the ball up, he beats his man, he races away.
Put some nice crosses in last night. There's no one in the middle. That's
no, but there's just no actual quality to it. I mean, when you look at Coventry's second goal, it came out of nothing, and the bloke, I don't know if it was Thomas Asante. I know he made the first one, but it was so effortless. It was just whipped straight in early, and Wright, who always scores against us, he's yet one of these players. He always seems to score against us, but it was so simple. I think Coventry played a similar way to how Alex Neil was trying to play, in that they moved the ball out quickly. One touch, a few 2-3 passes, and suddenly they're on the edge of the area. But it worked so much better for them. It was so effective. With us, it looked really forced and laboured, and it just looked like a team who didn't feel comfortable playing that system. And I'm thinking, what happened to last season? The last 2 months, I thought we'd sussed it. We seemed to be playing really attractive football. We were winning games,
fast, running, and
I thought
direct-ish. It wasn't direct, but it was ish.
I thought we cracked it. Ivanovic was scoring; he looked happy. Even Coburn was getting, a few, and we seem to have settled on a system, and it worked. And then in the summer, we just recruited more, and you think, well, this is just bolstering the system. Now it feels like they've just ripped it up and just started all over again. And the players. I saw a lot of comments saying, "Oh, it's a new system and it's going to take time." But why are we messing with new systems in October? I mean, and how many sort of home thrashings or home beatings like this are we going to take before we get the system right?
Difficult Saturday. We've got a difficult game Saturday. West Brom and those slouches. So,
we've got West Brom, and then I think we've got Stoke and Leicester at home as well.
Yeah,
and again. You look. We've played the current top two. We played at home. We've lost 3-0 and 4-0. And that really doesn't bode well at all. So there's a lot more questions than answers at the moment.
I mean, the crucial first goal was a rare error by Tristan Crum, and I'm not gonna knock that player because he's been a revelation for us. And
it's hard to criticise.
No one's infallible. He made a mistake.
No, exactly. Defenders will make mistakes. Yeah, and the thing is, when you're a defender, you make a mistake, quite often leads to a goal. So,
it was nicely finished. I mean, the boy pulled wide right and pulled a really nice cross in front of their striker.
Well, again, I think that was Thomas Asante, who's a player who, at this level, was just brilliant. I was chatting to a friend about him, and he's that's the sort of player we need. That is what we're lacking. Someone who can get the ball wide, put quality crosses in,
with some drive.
But there's just no quality about us. I mean, I'm hoping when Aziz comes back and is fully fit, that will help. But I know we've got players coming back.
They seem to get bodies in the box. I mean, so for the first goal, the ball's fired in from the right. We'd been pushed to quite a tight angle. And it just struck me in the stadium that one of our players might have had a go from that tight angle and probably been denied, as happened a few times. He pulled it into space because there was a sky blue shirt lurking in the danger zone. And that's the part that certainly I didn't see much of that till too late last night. I'm going to discount chasing the game once you're 3-0 down because our best chances did come late, but we're 3 goals behind.
Coventry are probably on the bus back.
They're on the bus going home and singing their songs.
So it's scant consolation. But the two things for me, it's composure and quality. That's what a lot of other teams seem to have and we don't. And I think the problem is as well. Again, I posted this last night saying this was on the cards, but we went through September. We only had 3 league games in September because of the international break.
Yeah.
We drew 2 away and we won at home.
Yeah.
The performances, I thought it was the performance at Charlton was hard to watch, and Swansea as well. But you can't really knock it if we've got 5 points and we're unbeaten. But I think that papered over the cracks because I think last night, by the time Coventry got their goal, they could have had a couple. I think they almost scored straight from a corner.
They went close a couple of times.
There was an almighty scramble, which we managed to somehow deflect away. So they could have been 2-0 up by then anyway.
Yeah.
I think at Charlton, we could well have been 2 or 3-0 down by the time Bangura Williams come on and save the game for us. And there's another point which we have to touch on. Swansea, again, they had so many chances. I was amazed we came away with a point from Swansea. And this all sounds very negative, but you've got to be realistic. And you think if you're giving teams like Charlton and Swansea sort of, lots of opportunities, then when you come up against someone of good quality like Coventry, you've already put 7 past QPR. Yeah. You're going to be banging trouble, and I think we are.
Well, there's a post here. This is from Rosie on X. He says, or she says maybe, to put our woes in front of goal into perspective, Coventry's Haji Wright has scored more goals, 7, than the entire Mill side, who scored 6 this season. Tonight he schooled Ivanovic in how to get into the 6-yard box in anticipation of a ball being put into that area. And I think Rosie's got it bang on there because they look threatening and we just didn't look threatening in the business end. This is something that's got to be sorted and fast. I know we didn't have Coburn last night. I thought Ivanovic was very disappointing last night. I'm going to be, I know it's...
Oh, yeah, he's cutting a really...
forlorn figure out there.
Yeah, and I thought it was quite strange, the announcement that he'd signed a long-term contract, and you think, oh, well, maybe that's why he's been a bit subdued. Maybe that's been going on in the background. Maybe he's been unsettled, and maybe this. But he looks, to be frank, he just looks pissed off or
unhappy,
fairly disinterested at the moment. And that's what makes me think: is the team happy with this, whatever system it is that Alex Neil's trying to play? And we know he's happy to sort of tweak it and change it. But it sort of feels like it's weird. It sort of feels like so far this season we've seen shades of Alex Neil's 3 predecessors. We've seen some of the sort of slow build-up stuff and sideways stuff that we had under Rowett. We've seen some of the direct stuff we had under Neil Harris.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, last night for me was reminiscent of the Joe Edwards era, where he had a great plan of how to out-football the other team.
Yeah.
But it's just not the players to actually carry it through or who were capable of doing it. And the players looked to say, well, we're trying, but we just can't do what you want us to do.
Got another post here from a bloke called Mark Dacey. He says, replying back to me when I put my quite an emotional video I did in this. Probably not the best time to speak in the media.
No.
But there we are. You do these things. Yeah. People react to it. But anyway, Mark says, I thought we actually played some good football in the first half, apart from the mistake by Kramer leading to the goal. The big problem was Ivanovic up front. Awful. Barely moving. Didn't win an aerial duel. And no offence to Bender, who's a liability. He's a liability. I think he's saying that Ivanovic didn't basically move for his teammates last night, and I think that's right. I mean, it was quite interesting. Obviously, no Coburn last night, and he gets a lot of stick, Merv, for calling him all sorts of names. But I thought we missed his work rate last night. You can talk about finishing and the rest of it, but he brings work rate, and I didn't really see that from Ivanovic last night. He's got if he aspires to go to the bigger European stage, Merv, the Serie A that we keep reading about, he's got to shine. And if he don't shine in the Championship, I can tell him that Italian football is not going to be interested.
No, they'll soon they'll soon lose interest if he doesn't. And I've seen some people talking about is it the Ian Fleming effect? He's had one good season. He's alerted some bigger teams and wants to. But I don't think he'd have signed a long-term contract if that was the case. But no, you have to wonder if the way we're playing suits him. Say with Coburn, what he does bring is he holds the ball up a bit, or he helps the ball to stick up front a little bit longer to give us a chance to sort of build some sort of attacking football. But at the moment, it's just we're trying to sort of build attacks, and we just don't seem to pose any threat. And you feel like it's really easy to play against
Well, it certainly
But
was.
I mean, I saw Bender, so I saw someone actually dig Bender out for the first goal, which I thought was outrageous because it was.
I don't think he could have done much more with the first goal.
I thought he did as well as he could have done. The only thing else he could have done more to stop them scoring in open play was to give away a penalty, bring the bloke down, and then.
But then he's looking at a red card as well, isn't he?
Yeah. I think someone said he should have stayed on his feet. If he'd have done that, the bloke still would have slid it across the right for score.
There wasn't much you could do with that one. There wasn't much you could do about the second. That was the ball in from the right side and the met
it was a good cross, wasn't it? Yeah.
By Haji Wright, the powerful header with no one on him. So that's a defensive error. There wasn't much that Bender could do about that. The only one I thought maybe he does tend to flap at crosses and he doesn't feel.
I was going to say, I mean, it is sort of Halloween season, isn't it? And he's definitely our vampire because he's not good with crosses at all, is he? He's terrible with. Yeah, he hates crosses.
He hates crosses. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a worry because that's clearly his Achilles heel. He's a good shot stopper. But yeah, I mean, you want the keeper to come out and command his area and come and claim stuff, and even if it means wiping out two of his own defenders.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be that kind of keeper.
He looks, for someone who's so big, he looks so hesitant. But again, I think we've discussed this before. I think it's endemic of modern goalkeepers. They're being coached to be bloody centre or sweepers.
Yeah,
and we're so obsessed with them playing the bloody ball out that we're forgetting to make them do the basics, which is come out and catch the bloody ball.
He flaps at the cross. I mean, it was the third goal one, the one that ran along the top of the crossbar, but he'd flapped it earlier on. Reminded me of this was one for the older listeners. John Inman in Grace Brothers, a kind of like a fey kind of like a goal.
Oh, yeah,
you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm making like a gesture with my hand here. Mm-hmm. Stephen Jones, there's a few questions asking about the position of Reece Bangura Williams. What has he got to do, says Stephen? What's Bangura Williams got to do to get a game? I don't have an answer for you, Stephen. I don't know if you have any answers on that one.
Yeah, I know he was back from injury, wasn't he, coming into the Charlton game? He came on at Charlton quite late in the game.
Scored.
And without exaggerating, he transformed us as an attacking team. There was we could have been there till midnight at Charlton without him, and we'd not scored. He came on and he was aggressive and he wanted to get in the box and he got, let's say he got 2 goals. He was unlucky not to have one of them disallowed. And yet his reward is to be stuck on the bench, and he didn't even get a look in last night. I do wonder, when Alex Neil first came to the club, one of he seemed to be his pet project because he gave him his debut in the FA Cup and he scored. Yeah. And then I remember he seemed to link up really well with Ivanovic. There was that fantastic goal he got at Luton. Yeah. I think it came from, and then there was a goal at Portsmouth as well. It came from a really good early Bangura Williams ball. And he seemed to be giving Ivanovic exactly the sort of service that he wants. And yet, for some reason, given all our injuries and everything else and how poor we've been as an attacking threat, Alex Neil seems to think that he doesn't deserve a start. And
I think one of the things that would upset a squad of players is that lack of consistency where players can come in, do well. I mean, even some of the youngsters versus Palace, one of our better performances. And then they're dropped. They don't even get a sniff, and that would upset players. It would upset me because what have you, Raíce? What more can he do than score and have one disallowed that I think might have been a proper score? Influence a big local derby where puts credit in Alex Neil's bank, so to speak. What's he got to do? But I think if you've got this inconsistent reshuffle, I mean that people mentioning Joe Edwards here. Robbo says Joe Edwards era level of shit, and I think one of the things that struck me with Joe Edwards was the desperation reshuffle. Yeah, Ian Holloway got into this.
Try this. Yeah. There was no confidence in the 11 players he put out, and and again, it is quite bizarre. I mean, I like Wes Harding, but where did that suddenly come from? Where did that selection suddenly appear from? It was quite bizarre when we've just paid a reported £3 million for Taylor from West Brom. Yeah, at centre back, who we thought was a straight replacement for Tanganga, and again he doesn't get a look in.
He's sitting on the bench.
Yeah, and they say you've got Taylor, you've got Bangura Williams, and you're thinking something just feels a bit.
It feels askew, and I don't know. I don't know what to make of it because there are many inconsistencies, and the fact we can't score a goal at home. I mean, one goal scored at home in now, what is it, 4 games at home?
Yeah,
4 home
we've only scored more than one goal once in the league all season.
and we're
as well.
leaking goals, 3 goals, 2
Yeah.
goals. Okay, we get to clean sheet at Watford, but 4 last night. It's that as somebody said on one of the messages earlier on, that's relegation form at home.
It is, and I saw someone trying to put a positive spin on it, saying, "Oh, it's only a few points off the playoffs." But I mean, that is sort of daft. Most teams are a few points off the playoffs after
a few points off the relegation spots.
But, and we're just as close to the relegation, and it won't be long before we are getting dragged into it unless something changes pretty quickly. I'm just finding it really bizarre. I mean, the sort of the issue with Taylor and Bangura Williams sort of takes me back to the last days of Mark McGee. Yeah, when he made some sort of bizarre.
Didn't he go a completely different? Was it Preston? He went for a 5-3-2, which we hadn't played ever. I don't think.
Yeah, and you're thinking, what obviously injuries are forcing his hand, but you feel there were far better players left on the bench last night than actually started or even finished the game. I know Negley's getting some stick, but again, he's not being played in his best position. When he first signed,
playing people out of position is another criticism.
When he first came to the club, he was playing a lot more centrally.
Yeah,
and he was picking the ball up deep, and he was making runs, and he was scaring defences, and he was great at Leeds in the cup when we won there. He was really good when we won at Derby, doing that. And he looks now quite frustrated. He made a good fist of it last night, playing a bit more wide, but clearly we're not getting the most out of him.
No, we're not.
And I think what's going to piss the players off, I might have got this totally wrong, but if they're playing a system or a formation that perhaps they're not comfortable with, if I was one of them, I'm thinking, well, we're the ones that are getting the shit from the crowd.
Yeah.
We're struggling with this, but it's us that's getting and it's all very well saying, well, it will take time to click, but how many more defeats like this do we have before the morale just gets sapped and the fans just get fed up with it?
Alex Neil's got a big task on his hands. He's got today was Thursday today, so Friday, Saturday we're playing again. West Bromwich Albion, not an easy game. No, and he's got, as someone has mentioned, and I can't find the quote, so apologies to you, but saying that Alex Neil's got a big job on his hands to get this team off the floor because but the end at the full time whistle last, the most depressing when the den empties and there's just like a few men and a large travelling support. And that's how it was left. So they will be on the floor after that drubbing last night. So he's got a big job on his hands. Let's see what we get Saturday, Merv. Fingers crossed. Against my better judgment, I'm going to go down there, listeners. So do send me your voice notes.
Back to the days of watching the match between our fingers, aren't we? Really, or not bearing to look at it. That's the sad thing, which we didn't think we'd be at.
This was supposed to be HMS Pistol League season, but anyway, there we are.
Well, yeah. I mean, it just seems a very, very long way from Norwich away, doesn't it? But there you go. We should know by now. We're long enough in the tooth to
we're Millwall
know
fans.
full well.
Absolutely, Merv. Big thank you, mate, for joining me. Much appreciated. Stay tuned, dear listeners. We've got voicemails aplenty after these messages.
Achtung, Millwall.
Welcome back, dear listeners. Now, as I just said, we've got a lot of voicemail. The nature of the result last night and some aspects of the performance have obviously generated a lot of heat and noise online, and the quantity of voicemails that I've received reflects that. So normally I like to do a comment, a reaction between each of the voicemails. I just don't think I'm going to have enough time unless I extend this edition into a 2-hour job. So I'm going to play them all back to back. I do want to say a big thank you to everyone who submitted the voicemail content. I really enjoy receiving it, and I know the shows are popular online. Range of opinion. You'll like some, you won't like others, all that kind of thing. But I just really appreciate everyone who's sent stuff in to us. If you want to send me your voicemails, then either email me, achtungmillwall@gmail.com, or DM me on X @achtungmillwall. Send me a DM, we can exchange mobile phone numbers. Hit me up, like the kids say, kids with a Z on the end. So we're going to play, the remainder of the show will be back-to-back voicemails. I'm going to kick off with Jim Hackett. I'm going to say Arrivederci Millwall, bye for now. I'll be back at the weekend after the West Brom game. God help us, dear listeners. Till then, from me, Nick Hart, all the best and bye for now.
Morning, Nick. Jim Hackett, just throwing a couple of thoughts about last night's game. I don't know where it all sort of went wrong. I think it's first 20, 30 minutes we looked okay. I thought we looked dodgy at the back anyway, because every time Coventry went forward with any sort of quality, we seemed to get away with something. But, when it came to the goal, it was an absolute shambles, wasn't it? And unfortunately, as well as Crammer's played for so many games now, that sort of thing will undo the whole, it didn't just do our team, it undid everybody's expectations, I think, because as soon as we go 1-0 down, especially at home, it just looks like we're a team in free fall then, and so it proved last night. And it was a shame because, like I say, it was a half decent performance for the first 25, 30 minutes, and then, we were just sort of, the pin went into the balloon, didn't it? And it burst, and it just carried on letting air out for the rest of the game. I can't really comment too much about the other goals because I thought they were just so poorly let in, and it shows a real lack of confidence in the team last night. And then I think Alex Neil's got to take some sort of answers to questions about his selection last night and what he was trying to do, because whatever it was, it certainly didn't work. The style of football is getting really sort of not tedious to watch, but it's playing out from the back. I don't get it. We have a system, or we have a club that is built on sort of grit and determination. And last night, I think, if I was honest, looking at that group last night, you could ditch Bender. I mean, he showed exactly what his problem is last night, whether it was coming for a cross or coming for a punch or whatever. It really is heart and mouth time, because he just doesn't get close to anything. And Croker must be watching that, thinking, what's he got to do to get a run out? Because I know Bender might pull off great saves every now and then, but the stuff that he does wrong costs us so dearly. And, watching that last night was hard work. I think then you go around the back four, Wes Harding, again, all the way through the back four, there was something there last night that was an accident waiting to happen. Why would Brian get himself booked so early on such an obvious bloody challenge? He didn't need to do it. Cranmer obviously made his mistake. Cooper, unfortunately for me with Jake Cooper, he's a decent player, but he's just not a captain. And in that role, he's got to start taking some leadership. And I don't think he's got it in him, but if he doesn't do something, then the writing's on the wall for him. And then I go back to Wes, and he's a willing player. And how many times did he get caught offside? It's not rocket science, is it? If you're the furthest player forward on the right hand side, why don't you look along the line and see, where the offside line starts and not get caught there? Because every time in the first half we wanted to get across to him to get the ball, then it was either a misplaced pass and didn't get there, or he was offside, and it was just shameful. So really unhappy with that back five, as you can tell. And then you go into the midfield, and to be fair, in there, I thought we actually didn't look too bad, because I thought Negley, Derek, Billy and Imaku didn't do too badly. Imaku, again, he's the jury's still out for me on him, because he can do some stuff well, but he's poor. Some of his decision making is poor. His quality, why he constantly wants to do these little inside or flicks and tricks when he gets the ball. He wants to hit it first time to somebody, and it never gets there. And none of our team can do it. Probably Brian's the closest we've got to somebody who's got some quality on the ball like that. But Imago, I just don't quite get it. But to be fair, I would say there was not lack of effort in there from anybody in terms of the midfield, because their effort, Billy was buzzing around. Sometimes his quality wasn't quite there, but he did look forward a lot more last night. He looked for the pass to get into areas that would help. Unfortunately, his one-touch game isn't up there where it should be, whereas Derek, I think, has a lot of quality to offer. And I think somewhere along the line, if they can get him into the right midfield, he'll actually start to show the quality he has got. And Negley, and people are going to moan and groan about Negley and his miss and how he's luxury on the right hand side. But I tell you what, he didn't stop working last night, and he was the one player we looked that if we could get a bit of quality ball going into the final third, Negley is the one that can provide it and can also help out, with goals, because he had a shot, I think, that got turned onto a post. He had his chance in the first half where his feet seemed to sort of uncoordinate. And for generally, when he did pick up the ball, he looked dangerous. So for me, I thought he had a decent game, and Billy as well. So I'll sort of leave them out of it. Kundal, again, he got into a couple of positions where, with a little bit more, I don't know, oomph, pressure, if he was playing for Coventry, he'd have probably scored. But for us, he looks a little bit lightweight still to me, but at least he doesn't stop trying. And then we had the ghost of Ivanovic up front, who, for me, considering they just offered him a new contract, I think somebody should be looking at what we're going to get out of it, because, again, last night, every time he's playing at the moment, I think he come on Saturday and he looked like he had something to prove, and he played last night and he was like he had nothing to prove. And I thought he was woeful last night. I thought his work rate was down, his effort was down, the quality was down. He had the odd good touch, but why shouldn't he? He's a young man who should be able to throw himself around and help out the team as he did last year. This year, he's come in with a totally different attitude, and I think it's not doing us any favours. So, for me, after that point, after the second goal went in, I think that was it for us. I mean, after the first goal, really, it was it. But after the second goal went in, then we were all at sea, and I think it's absolutely disgraceful that we're losing so many games at home by so many big margins, and nobody's actually questioning what's going on. So I think Alex Neil's got to take a big, long, hard look at himself and his players ready for Saturday, because last night I thought that team he put out last night, it was like tinkering for the sake of tinkering's sake, and all he's got to do is get a solid base out there. You've got a good play. We played against Crystal Palace the other week with a back five and a front two. Now, it could be that's the way to go, for the next couple of weeks till we get some sort of pattern of play. But we miss Coburn, surprisingly, after all the slaughtering he's been having. We definitely miss Casper. And our centre-backs really do need to be sorted out. And I've got a feeling that we might see one or two changes on Saturday, because I despair. West Brom are on a nice little run as well. So we could actually be right in the cart come Saturday night. But let's hope not. So come on, you Millwall. Sorry, Nick, one thing I did mean to mention, and it's going to get on my wick for a little bit, but I live up on the North Wales border, and unfortunately one of the greenkeepers at the golf course I go to is Bobby Thomas's bloody father-in-law, and he goes to all the games, and I spent the last week fighting him off, telling him how when he comes out to Millwall, his team will get a game. So I've now got to go and face that twat for the next bloody couple of weeks until we can get a point on the board. So, over and out. Bye-bye.
Hello, Nick. Digger Dave here. Just thought I'd give you a shout after last night. It's like having a bad hangover this morning. Every time you go on your phone or look at social media, there's some ranting and raving about the performance and the result and calling for the manager's head and all sorts of stuff, But I think ultimately last night we got undone by a team that came here that were well organised. They set up, they had a game plan. They clearly had something to prove, I think, after what happened when they last came to the Den. And we just got outplayed, We've just been totally outplayed tonight. We were very one-dimensional with what we were doing. And I think that showed. That showed. We didn't change it at all. And in that vein, like when I think back to the Palace game, we had all them youngsters on the pitch, and that game we didn't look like Millwall, to be honest with you. In the Palace game, we actually looked like quite a decent footballing team. Those young lads played without fear. They played a physical game that lasted the whole 90 minutes. They were full of running, weren't they? And you against Palace, you got that Will Hughes fella who they all rave about over there, and he was made to look bang average in that game. So I think my question is why haven't we seen that starting 11 in the league? Commentary at home may not be the game to run it. That's why I'm not the manager. But I just think, if you looked at, last night and all the injuries and all that sort of stuff, if we're going to lose 4-0, we might as well, make a game of it. And it was just flat. The atmosphere was flat. It was a pain getting up there, and it was a pain getting back as well. But there we go. I don't know what else to say, mate. I'm sure you got a bumper episode lined up with plenty of feedback from other fans and that. So I'll probably leave it there. But yeah, onwards and upwards, eh? Right, Nick. Cheers. Bye.
Shell-shocked. Post-traumatic stress. Don't know where to start or finish with this, honestly, Nick. Why did we make 5 changes? Does anybody think that Kundal and Negley in the same team make us lightweight? Because I do. I think it's one or the other for me. And why was the one player that gave us the spark in the forward line, Imaku, withdrawn? Tough opposition, but surely nobody saw a 4-0 defeat coming. Is it time to put Kramer back at right back and take a chance on Taylor in the middle? Ivanovic, Langstaff, Cow's arse, Banjos. That lack of cutting edge, that lack of quality in the final third is now happening for a 3rd successive season. Alex Neil looked really pissed off. And our home form is relegation form, isn't it, to be honest? He needs a reaction on Saturday, especially with a near sellout gate. Keep the faith. Come on, you Lions.
What we doing, Nick? It's Tony again, mate. It's been a while since I've been on. But after watching that last night, I thought maybe I had to touch back in with you. I wasn't feeling great last night. I'm still not feeling great this morning, but no words there last night. I think the team selection was wrong. I think too many changes in the side are not helping us get any consistency going forward. I don't know how a team like Millwall can sign a player for 4 million in Taylor and him not get a look in. I would have definitely played Kramer at right back last night, put Taylor and Cooper in the middle. And then, there was a couple of chances in the first half that were just, we were looking for that overlap, we just wasn't there. I'm not going to go too much into it because I think we all know, and we all seen last night how bad it was. But I think Alex Neil needs to question himself last night regarding like the subs, the team selection, and the identity of the team at the moment. We seem to have no identity. I mean, under Harris, we were we're all up for it. Especially when the big boys come to town, and we were horrible to play against. Now, even under Rowett, we were organised, but boring. But that last night, that was just like a Joe Edwards performance to me last night. We were just all, we were just, a mess. And I'm not going to go too much into it because obviously we all know, but, how is Bangor Williams not getting in the side? Because he came on against Charlton, got 2 goals. And I felt like last night, we were calling out for someone that could just open up the game and do a bit of magic. And Negley, as good as he was last night, I think he struggles to, he's on his own out there, and you need someone in there, even with Ivanovic, all right, he wasn't great last night, he never got the service, but someone like Bangor Williams, he's the one that can feed him, So I'm not sure how he's not getting inside. I think Alex Neil needs to ask questions now because, the subs last night, Lenny, Smallbone, Langstaff, come on, are they really going to change a game? 3-0 down, 2-0 down. Bender's another one. How he keeps getting a look in, consistently is beyond me. Neil in the past seems to, stick with people, but now question marks are starting, now questions are starting to be asked now because, there's no consistency. And now all the players are coming back, him changing it every week, which we have got options, but, we've got no consistency in the side, And when I looked at the team short last night, my mate said to me, how are we going to get on? I said, I don't know. You just don't know what's going to turn up. But there's one thing for sure. when they come to our gaff, if we go a goal down, it's lights out for us. And the more they seem to give us the ball, we say, less we seem to know what to do with it. Anyway, Nick, I'm going to crack on, mate. Roll on Saturday. God help us. Take care.
Achtung, Millwall.
Morning, Nick. It's Hassan here. I thought I'd wait till this morning before sending a voice note, because after that performance last night, I was just, mate, it wouldn't be very pleasant to hear, and certainly not pleasant to record. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to make no bones about it. That's the worst performance of the season, let's be honest. Awful, absolutely fucking awful. I think what hurts the most, obviously, it's another home defeat. Coventry didn't look like they got out of second gear. Honestly, they didn't look like they even tried a leg. We gifted them goals where we could. There's something really not right at the club. I'm sorry. All this positivity, all this, energy of, looking forward, looking up the table. This ain't the fucking answer. This ain't the answer. And I was thinking about it last night. I've been thinking about it this morning. What the issue is, or what's missing. What I'm worried about, to be honest with you, I was going to mention it a couple of weeks ago. I think it may be after the Charlton game. There's one thing that, from what I've seen, all successful Millwall sides have had is a very, very strong nucleus. That spine in the middle of the park, and even off the pitch as well, right? And we've had many conversations about, should we have kept this player? Should we have kept that player? Such as your Savills, your Wallaces, your Hutchinsons. I mean, that conversation may come around again, but you can't help but think, right, there's no leadership in this side. Cooper always, I think half the reason why Cooper gets a lot of stick, right? I know he's the captain as well. I know he's not our longest serving player at the moment, but he's also the captain. I just don't see him as a leadership. I'm sorry, I don't see him as a leader. We're shipping goals in, and there's no one getting bollockings. It's all very timid, We go a goal down, it's like, the heads drop, the shoulders sink. No one's taking responsibility. The definition of toothless performance was that last night. You look at Coventry, I'm in awe of Coventry, to be honest with you. I've enjoyed watching them for the last 2 or 3 seasons, more so under Mark Robins. For me, Frank Lampard, he's just carried on what Mark Robins has started. He hasn't built this team, Mark Robins built it all. And they attack with purpose, with strength, with pace, with power. We're so fucking timid, mate, honestly. We're like a bunch of pussies, excuse the language. We're like a rabbit in the headlights, just scared. We get the fullback gets the ball. The first thing to do is cut in, square it to the two holding midfielders. They'll pass it back out wide again. It's fucking depressing, mate. And there was times last night. It was funny because yesterday during the day I was listening to the chat you had with Gordon Hill, the chat with the chaps. But that was a brilliant interview, by the way. It was just funny because none of you lot got a word in edgeways. Bless him. We loved the chat, Gordon, but it was brilliant. Great insight into the man he was and some of the football he played. Obviously, I never saw him play way before my time. But it was really, really, really good. But there was moments last night where Negley or Amaka would get the ball. In my mind, I've got Gordon Hill saying, "Get down the fucking wing," and they're not. They're fucking holding on to the ball and going back again. That's fucking terrible. It's back to Gary Rowett. That's what it's gone down to. We've gone full circle. The only good thing, the only difference is under Gary Rowett, we were predominantly most of the time defensively solid. We didn't ship, 9 goals in 4 games, I believe, at home now is the aggregate scoreline. 9-1, I think it is. This is a fucking joke, It's an absolute joke. And what I don't get is we came from that Palace game in the Cup with potentially our best performance of the season, which I believe it was. It was better than the Norwich performance. That's Norwich's best performance in the league. But the Palace performance was the best performance in all season. And I just don't get why you don't play with that side. Because clearly it worked against a Premier League outfit. I hate to say it. Quite a successful one at the moment. And, since then, I think we've played Watford. I know we won 1-0, but it wasn't a great performance, let's face it. We played Swansea, and again it was a so-so performance. And last night, stumbled over the line. And normally I'm quite a glass half full guy. So today after last night, it's half empty. I'm not that I've lost faith, but questions need to be asked of Alex Neil in some of his decision making. Substitutions were all wrong. Some players not getting minutes while others are. I'm going to pick out individuals. I'm not one to dig out individuals, but after a performance like that, questions need to be asked. Bender needs to go back to fucking Fulham and carry on making the tea there. He's just woeful. I'm sorry, mate. He's got no confidence. I think the defence don't trust him either. I think they've got no faith in him. The sooner we get Jensen back, the better. Or Crocombe, right? End of the day, with Crocombe, he looks solid, he looks assured, he's a big presence in goal. I see rather him in goal than fucking Bender, so get him back to Fulham. Kramer had his worst game in the Millwall shirt, which end of the day, he's been here since January, and to have one bad game in all that time is pretty going. So I'm not going to get too much on him, but I thought he got found out tonight, I think, in patches. Harding is not a right back. Everyone kept asking for him over Leonard. And this is what you get. I love Harding. He gets the crowd going, but he'll have one real good game out of maybe 10. Yeah, he's not consistent to play at right back. I can see why Alex still changed it, obviously, because we've got that right back. But as a lot of people have been saying, you've got a £3 million centre back sitting on the fucking bench, and you've got a centre back in Kramer who can do a job at right back. It's an obvious swap. You know, end of the day, if he's worried about pulling the trigger, the experiment against Palace proved it. He can hold his own, Taylor. He can absolutely hold his own. I think something needs to start changing. I think we have to go back to what we did last season. Get Kramer right back, get Taylor next to Cooper, and start paying our £3 million centre back. As for the rest of the team, I'm not going to say anything about Sacco. He done what he could. Billy Mitchell's good to see him back, even though he gave the ball away a few times. I'm slowly running out of patience with Amaku now. I think everyone's talking about, he needs a run in the team. For me, he's had that run, and he's not contributing to goals or assists, apart from a few good crosses here and there. He just doesn't create enough for me. It's either that or his people aren't getting the end of things that he's doing, maybe. I don't know. But last night he got found out. Again, he's a one-trick pony, you know. And for some reason he was on the wrong side, him and Negley. Put him on the left again. Don't understand why. Negley's getting a lot of stick from the crowd. I just don't get it with me, because for me, I know he's frustrating, but he's a ball-playing player. And anyone who wants the ball, if something doesn't happen, he's going to get stick. You know, I don't get how the Ivanovic doesn't get any stick. He's been fucking woeful all season, even last night. Like, absolutely mystery man. You know, nowhere to be seen. At least Coburn, you know, he's on the pitch because he's putting himself about. He's getting into position. There was periods last night when we did eventually get the ball. And to be fair, I'm not going to completely knock it. We did get into some good areas. Even the commentator said that. He goes, you know, the problem is that final pass. I think there was a bit where, I don't know. I think Aziz, to be fair, that's the only positive that came out last night and came on and looked all right. I think he put a ball in right, and it was one of those where Ivanovic is just standing by a defender. He's not anticipating that it's going to come across his path. He just stays in one place. I don't know what has happened to that boy. You know, he's gone back to being a Serbian Division 1 striker again. Something ain't right, and this fucking new contract he's been given. Whoa, I'll tell you what, Palmer ain't going to come knocking in January. Whoever else ain't going to be coming knocking, unless he's got guarantees that he's going to fuck off in January. But something ain't right. I don't know whether, for the lamppost to get injured after scoring his first goal, that's just typical Millwall at this moment in time. Langstaff just can't hit a barn door. I'm fucking done with him now. Who's the other one? Kundal. I don't get Kundal. Right. For me, he's a glorified George Honeyman in the sense of he's busy. You know, he's on the pitch. But he doesn't affect the game in an attacking sense. He does not affect the game. You look at RBW for me, you know, the link-up play between him and Mihailo last season. Just look at the Luton and Portsmouth goals and back-to-back as well. Fuck me, if you've got that in your team, you should be nurturing them two and say, right, you two buggers, you will play together every fucking game as long as you're fit. But you make sure you learn off each other so they know where one is going to be when the ball's being played, right? And we're not utilising it. How Cundall gets a start over RBW, I don't fucking know. RBW had 2 or 3 players around him. He'll find his way out of it. Cundall's got no fucking finesse. He's just a busy player who don't do nothing. He's like a politician. Talks without saying anything, you know? Yeah, I don't know, mate. To be honest with you, pretty hurt today. Getting work. Some serious changes needs to be made, you know. Some serious. I think this is where Alex still needs to earn his money now. He needs to drop players who think they're guaranteed starters and say, listen, you're not working hard enough. You need to sit down. And you know what? The more players we get back from injury, the worse it's going to look for Alex Neil, because he's going to run out of excuses. You know, it's the first time a lot of people started questioning Alex Neil's decisions last night, and I have as well. West Brom Saturday, I don't know what's going to happen. You know, old school Millwall will go and beat them 3-0, but this is not old school Millwall. You know, those days are gone. Again, listen to the interview the other day with Gordon Hill about playing style, about the fear. That's all gone. We don't play that way. You know, Kenny Jackett, Neil Harris all spoke about it. Get the crowd into play. We don't play football to do that. Commentary play football like that. They hit the channel. They're fast. They're direct. They're in your face. These lot, they're a bunch of fucking wet wipes. I'm sorry, mate. Bunch of wet wipes. You know. That's what I worry about this season. You know. That's what I worry about, because there's no backbone in this team. There's no strength. There's no bollocks. They all put their heads down. You know. They all put their heads down. There's something. You know. Some real words need to be said in that change room. And who's it going to come from? It's got to come from the likes of Cooper, who's been there the longest. It's got to come from the likes of Leonard, who's been there quite a long time. Even Billy Mitchell's a Millwall fan, for fuck's sake, right? I know he's not young anymore, but you can class him as a veteran player. But if anyone knows what it means to put a performance in on Saturday, it's going to be people like him. Even Danny Mack, he's a cheerleader these days, I think. He can't get fucking fit. Yeah, I don't know. Too many individuals for me. We're not a team at the moment. Too many individuals. Anyway, that's my rant done, mate. Over and out.
Good morning, Nick Hart, Bobby T here. Morning after the train disaster, train massacre, or train crash. I need to get it off my stomach, off my chest, basically. Just wanted to tell you about last night, basically, what I think anyway. There is no man of the match last night. I was man of the match for watching that, serving up that shit, that fucking bollocks. Every single fucking one of them were clowns, clueless, gutless, no passion. When you wear a Millwall shirt, and then people say online, and I'm not going to mention names here, like after that, even when you walk past Lion TV going on the way home, we played well in spell. We didn't take our chances. Yeah, that is the bottom line. Scoring goals wins games. Taking our chances. No service and all that. Anyway, to the Paul Mahal or whatever. Signed the contracts, does fucking fuck all. Anyway, from number one, Bender. I mean, his name says it all, Bender. Coming for crosses and all that. I'm not saying not up to it. He's, a good shot stopper. But as soon as we get Jensen back in goal, the better, if you ask me. Right? Right back, right, yeah. We've paid £3 million for a centre-back from West Brom, and you don't play him, he's on the bench, right? So, for me, Crammer should go to right back. Remember Palace? Remember at the beginning of Crammer, Tristan's career? How he was at right back, solid. We played better. Where's you're too old. Right, that's the right back. I've told you about the Bender, the keeper. Cooper, don't get me started, right, yeah, because Seb Taylor's there, right, too old, but too clumsy. You know what I'm going to say on the left-back situation. We've got a guy from Chelsea, Zach, just like Coventry had Jada Silva, nippy, young, ex-Chelsea. Look at him. We've got a Zach who's better than that coffee, fucking flat white. Midfield, yeah, Billy, we love you, man. Billy sideways. People said last night he was man of the match, Nick Hart. But he played too deep last night. He played too deep and he was running everywhere like a chicken, like the old Ben Thompson. Anyway, Billy Mitchell's still there. Love him. Missing Casper, we know. Okay, Massimo Alongo missing last night. Yeah. Cundall, sorry, mate. whinging, midget, moaning. He comes in and out of games. Nedgley needs a rocket up his fucking arse. The guy thinks he's fucking Messi, you know. He's a talented player, but he's just so for shit. Too laid back, thinking he's fucking Maradona. So that's Nedgley, right? I told you about Billy Mitchell. Aziz, yeah, okay, missed him, come on, right? Amako, again, half-hearted, got the pace, no end product. And he's a talent, Nick. He's a talent. And anyway, am I missing anyone else? I've done the midfield, I've done the wingers, done the fucking bender keeper. And Cohen was missing last night. Langstaff, like a little headless chicken. Mihailo, I've already said about it, right? Maybe he's not what we think he is. He scored goals last season. Bangor Williams, Randy Williams on the bench. Alex, what are you doing? And that's it, basically. So, on to Saturday. Not going until QPR away and the QPR end. Off to work now. I've got it out of my system now to Nick Hart and Achtung Millwall. Let's pray Saturday there's the reaction, basically. And as I said to you, he can't really chip and change the team. You've got to get his set to 11. And that's what I think. Anyone else I'm missing on the bench coming off? I think that's it. I mentioned Seb Taylor, mentioned Zach, mentioned Bangor Williams. And all these players played against Palace. Oh, even Ballow's not bad. Exciting. Saka couldn't get in the game, but he's like a new Pogba for us. So look, I'm not saying Alex Neil sack after 4 games of October, West Brom, QPR, Stoke and Leicester. But we've got to fix our home record soon, Nick Hart. Achtung Millwall, Godfather, all the best. See you soon. Bye for now, Bobby T.
All right, Nick, it's Lawrence Binney here calling after Millwall 0, Coventry 4. I don't really know where to begin to kind of describe where we're at as a football team at the moment. It's really it's confounding me. I'm sure it's confounding even people who actually know how football really works. It was very difficult to, at least until the 60th minute, to really pinpoint any individual performance that was below par, if that makes any sense. I think the way the players were set up, at least for that 60-minute period, I think everyone seemed to be doing the job that was asked of them. For example, Amaku to hug the touchline, make himself an outlet out wide. Mazu Saku to mop up in the middle. Mitchell to recycle the ball. It just never really hung together. There's a real asymmetry, I think, in this team at the moment, even despite actually, I think, some good passages of play, again, up until the 60th minute, where we actually didn't look outmatched. We looked like, all things being equal, we could maybe get an equaliser. But we just didn't create anything. Like, there were a couple of nearly moments and half opportunities. But having, like, Camille Nedgley on the left, who's a right-footed player, slows us down. Having Amaku as a starter, to be an outlet against a side that was not pushing up, that was happy to sit, not in a low block, but, in a fairly kind of middling kind of position in their own half. Wasn't really working. He was up against a solid, experienced championship fullback. That never really came off. It meant that Kundal, who I'm assuming was meant to be a number 10, was dropping deep to the point where we looked like we were playing with a midfield 3. And each of those players was doing an identical job and not able to carry us up the pitch. So, our best opportunities came on the break, but even then, we were completely sidetracked by Nedgley getting the ball, having to cut inside, or Amaku making the wrong run because he's raw and he's young, and Ivanovic looking completely isolated because, Kundal has to do a defensive job, and so he has no support. I mean, the whole thing was so lopsided. So yeah, even though I think we went toe-to-toe with Coventry for, if we're honest, pretty much the whole game until the last 10 minutes. It didn't really matter because we never looked like we were going to create anything. And they have a settled squad, they have symmetry, and they have quality in the right areas that can take their chances. And so it was the most routine of 4-0 wins you could ever see. It's really difficult to understand what Alex Neil was doing at the moment, especially in regards to the home performances. I know we've had injuries, but we've got enough players back now that we can be more competitive. I've seen far worse Millwall sides on paper under Rowett and Howard Harris retrieve results from games like that. And you just knew as soon as we went a goal down that it was good night Vienna, wasn't it? Really, really difficult to know what we do. I think we need the international break again, and we need to find some symmetry in the side because it's not looking good for Neil if performances at home like that continue. We are not a club that will suffer home defeats like that. And I like Neil and I hope he succeeds here, but he either needs to go back to basics or he needs to find an 11 that works. All right, cheers, Nick. Bye.
Nick, Aussie Dave after the Coventry game and that shellacking, or was it? 3 points to make. The first one is perception is reality. After the Watford game where we won 1-0, many of the voicemails to your show were saying hard-earned win, pleased to win, deserved it overall, whereas I was quite angry and thought we were very lucky. And we moved forward to the Coventry game. Many fans on the forum are saying we were crap, sacked the manager. And even Chris at Chat with Chaps, who's a fabulous analysis, he was absolutely livid and couldn't say a good word about it. However, perception is reality. And my probably wrong perception, I thought we weren't too bad. Before the first goal with Coventry, I thought we played well, half chances, some good build-up play. And by the end of the first half, even after that first goal, I thought at the end of the first half, I thought it probably unfair to be 1-0 down. And I was very optimistic to the second half. And we started the second half very well. I had quite a few chances, and I know that's a theme, missing all these chances or not making clear-cut chances. I thought we were okay till the second goal went in. That deflated us, but we still made some chances on the way. So I'm not saying we deserve to lose, but I thought it's fine margin. And I saw some golden shoots, and I'm actually quite optimistic after that, even though it was a disheartening game to watch, particularly 3 a.m. in the morning. The second point I want to make is obviously we don't score goals. We got the second least goals scored so far this season. We were third least overall last season, and we're hardly scoring at all. We haven't scored a goal at home from open play. Our one goal was from a free kick. And to this, I'm going to repeat why I blame Alex Neil. I think he persists with Negley on the right. He persists with Immaculate on the left. He persists with making our sole striker quite static. Whereas I've said in previous voicemails, he should be coming up to the ball. You look at number 9s, they move around a lot. And they're not being... Nick, sorry, I got cut off. I was talking about least goals. The third and final point, for what it's worth, is all about confidence. Evangelin has lost it. I think the team's lost it. And you saw someone lose it in an instance, and that was Crammer, playing well this season and was playing well up till he made that terrible mistake for the first goal. Then after that, he was a different man. As soon as he got the ball, he would pass it on to someone else and really just watch. It's a shame because he's a good player. Coming on to the man of the match in such a 4-0 drubbing, if it was a drubbing, clearly Billy Mitchell was excellent. I thought Hardy and Del Boy were okay. The rest were below par. Finally, West Brom on Saturday, and I reckon we'll win it. We're going to see Crammer at right back. He's going to put Taylor in the centre, Aziz from the beginning, and hopefully rearrange that forward line a bit. And, maybe my perception is reality. I thought we're going to do okay on Saturday. Come on, you Lions.
Good morning. Michael Avery here after last night's awful game of football. Normally, historically, there would be the odd time that Millwall would, lose at home quite heavily. Watford under Kenny Jackett. We had the infamous Rotherham game a few years back. So I'm hoping But this 4-0 home defeat is like the one that we normally let them off with, and there's no more, because we were woeful last night. We were very, very poor. I thought the keeper is all over the place. He wasn't great at all. As Nick says in his Monty Python way, apart from some match-winning saves or some higher-class saves, what else does he do? And you know, last night proved that a little bit. I don't think he had a particularly good game, Bender. But that said, I don't think the whole defence had a good game. The amount of times we were just caught watching and we just kept staring their goal. I can't remember which one it was, what number in the order, but the one that obviously bounced a lot on the bar, come down, and we watched it come down. The fella headed it in on the goal line. I laughed at that. Because that is like watching children play football when you coach on the weekends. It's that kind of defending, and everyone's been saying how great Jake Cooper was and what a great servant he is and everything like that. And most of the time I'd agree. I've never been the biggest Cooper fan, and again last night I thought he was quite poor. He was out jumped several times. I don't think he read the game particularly well, and I just thought it was just a poor performance from anyone who was a defender at Millwall last night. It was really poor, really, really poor. And let's ignore the fact that also they had one. I think they didn't have one disallowed for offside, or there was one or two where they still managed to nip through, and if it weren't for a linesman flag, it could have been a lot more. The effort with the header back across goal, linesman flag raised. I don't even think that was us playing him offside. I think he just strayed off, so it weren't even good defensive play. You had the incident where the Coventry fella earlier on missed from like a yard out, at the other side of the post. It could have been about 8 yesterday, couldn't it, for Coventry? And they'll go home. 4-0 midweek wins, great result for them, to be fair. But 4-0 home defeat for us midweek is obviously not great at all. I said it a little while ago to someone that the problem we've got with Millwall fans is we make a couple of signings in the summer and have a good start, and we think we've cracked it. And yesterday was poor. Yesterday was really, really bad. I'm not saying that we have to get used to these kind of performances or these results, but I think once again we've gone into the season with too high an expectation of what we're going to be able to do. As I always say, if these players are any good, if these players are only really, really, really good, they won't be a Mill. So I think we need to really realign expectations and just think, do you know what? If we can be around the top 10, I think we'll take that. Because on last night's performance, we're not going to be anywhere near it. I mean, I'm not massively panicky or worried yet. We're still far too good to go down. Far too good to even be troubled by relegation. And performances like that, there's not going to be many of them. But wow, that weren't good. And I think I concur with Nick Hart's tweet at the end with Ivanovic. In the summer, you're hearing a lot of these clubs coming for him. We turned down lots of money for him. Granted, he didn't get a great amount of service last night. But if we're putting out tweets cheering and congratulating the fact that he signed long-term deals and how amazing and brilliant he is and how he was linked with Palermo and all these other people, well, I think at the moment the only Palermo he's linked with is Paloma Faith. Not good, but, all we can say as we go again. Come on, your lines.
Hello, Nick. It's Danny here from a pretty mild Calgary, actually. It's my first time calling in this season. It had to be this one, I guess. I'm going to take nothing away from Coventry. They're going to be out there. They're going to be in the playoffs. So they're going to get that automatic, I think. They're a good team. But, it's October now, and really, I think there's been two good performances, and that's Norwich in the second half, and the Palace game, where I think we should have won, to be honest. How can we go... And that Palace game was basically our second team. So I don't know how you can put a performance in like that and not carry it on. To be honest, I think we're just really missing Denor. I think that's obvious to see. Because the second half against Norwich, we were so good. I thought we looked such a good team. And I think we're struggling with that right back position. I don't know why Kramer can't go back there. What I've seen of Taylor so far, it looks pretty impressive. So Kramer at right back, I think he was a nuisance in that Norwich second half, really causing problems and getting really good balls in the box. And if he wasn't putting good balls in the box, he was in that position to do it at least. So I'm not too sure where Alex Neil goes from this. I'm not Alex Neil out at all. I think he's a really good manager, and I think he's the right manager to lead this team. But it's not HMS piss for league as everyone thinks it will be, I think, or thought it would be. And yeah, just to agree with you and Merv, that other show, Palace fans they're the most fucking annoying. I can even get past West Ham and Charlton, but Palace do my head in. Anyway, cheers, Nick. Hopefully the next time I call in will be a bit better off and up the league a bit. Come on, you lines. Hello, Nick. Danny here. I just sent you a voicemail, and then X, Triller, whatever you want to bloody call it, was weird. So I'm going to try this one, I guess. It's the first time calling in, actually, this season from actually pretty mild Calgary today. Coventry are a good team. They're going to be up there. You know, they're either going to be at the top or playoffs. There's really only two good games I've seen this season. That's Norwich second half and the Palace game. Palace, I feel like we should have won, and that was our second string team. So you know what's going. You know, why can't we carry on from that? And the Norwich second half, I thought we were brilliant. I thought we were so good. But I think we're really missing Denor. I think that's obvious to see. And I don't know why we don't put Kramer back at right back and Taylor pairing up with Cooper. What I've seen with Taylor, I think he looks really good. And I really like Kramer. And Kramer at right back, I think, is solid. I think he's dangerous. If he's not putting in the balls, he's up there at least. And he's getting those balls in. I think we're struggling with that right back position right now. So yeah, hopefully this one worked. I don't know what's going on. I guess Elon Musk doesn't like me right now. And yeah, hopefully the next time I call in, we're back to winning ways and going up the table. I'm not criticising Alex Neil at all. I think he's the guy to do it. Maybe just a selection headache, and tonight just wasn't right. So anyway, and also the show you were on, the show the other week, I think it was after Palace. I think it was you and Merv talking about Palace fans. Yeah, they're the bloody worst. I can't stand them either. So agree with you on that one. Okay, cheers, Nick. Come on, you Lions.
Morning, Nick. Hopefully I'm not too late dropping this into you. Just off the back of obviously last night's awful defeat at home to Coventry 4-0. I think all I'd just like to say is where's the bollocks in this team? I don't see any leadership. I see a lot of reasonable technical players. I'm struggling to see the backbone at the minute, especially at home. Bender just looks like a calamity to me. And it's just things like, you know, we're losing, Amaku strolling over to take a corner. I don't know. It's not right. Where's Bangura Williams? Why have we paid multiple millions for a centre half? Play him against Palace. He plays really well, never to be seen again. Yeah, what's going on? There's no consistency or in the team selections, apart from Negley seems to play pretty regular regardless of what he turns in. Very, very odd. You know, something needs to happen with the home form pretty drastically, because you know we're not going to tolerate, we all know what Millwall's like as a home crowd, and we're not going to tolerate watching us lose 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, scoring one goal against Watford, not really creating anything, not particularly getting in anyone's faces, and it's all a bit comfortable, isn't it? That's what's not sitting well with me. So, needs addressing ASAP. But I'm struggling a little bit to see where it's coming from. They look like they're scared to play at home. Although saying that, weirdly, until Kramer cocked up yesterday, we were actually well in that game. But there's just a fragility around this side that, isn't doesn't. I don't think it bodes well actually for the the outcome of the season. But we'll see. I could be proved wrong, but I don't see the old, where are the old sweats that are steering them through? They're not there, are they? So anyway, that's my two pennyworth. All right, come on, you Lions.
Evening, Nick. Craig from Costa del Dordish. I know we've now entered October into spooky season, but that was an absolute fright night, wasn't it? 4-0. 4-0. How the fuck are we so bad at home when we seem to be so solid and so resilient away from home? The mind boggles. At this very moment, we kind of feel like ghosting Alex Neil right now and ignoring anything that he says right now, because the whole game was just, apart from parts of the first half where we were playing some nice football, the rest of it was shit. It was just so shit. There was zero confidence in the team whenever they play at the Den, and I just cannot for the life of me work out why. I don't know whether it's because there's been no settled first 11, even the squad's a bit unsettled because there's been so much change, and with the fact that we've been a bit of a selling team in the last couple of seasons, and there's this inevitability that, well, the team's going to change and someone's going to go out the door for millions, so why even try? But that's the whole point. If you want to sell for millions and you want to go to a bigger club, then put your fucking best foot forward. But my God, I don't know how we can deal with this. There's also someone on Twitter say that out of all the home games we've played, if you were to set it up as an aggregate score, it would have been losing 9-1. And that is awful. I know Coventry, great side, but they didn't even have to get out of second gear. They really didn't. They pretty much were gifted the first goal. And you know what? We gifted them all 4 goals because defending for the second, third, and the fourth, we just gave up, which is just, that's not on. That really is not on. And I'm not even going to be pointing my finger at players, because my finger is basically just pointing at whoever played today. It was just, I feel sorry for anyone that ended up going out to watch that in person, including yourself, Nick. That was just so bad. So bad. And I've got the bad feeling that if we don't roll our sleeves up and put in a decent performance and actually test the keeper, the West Brom keeper on Saturday, it's going to get very ugly, because what I felt from the crowd watching on telly is there is a bucket load of apathy in the Den. And normally you would end up hearing a load of boos, but it just felt like people have summed up the performance with their feet by just walking out, not even saying anything. I think that says a lot. We could say that why wasn't praised by Bangura Williams playing? I don't think it would have made any difference, personally. Coburn not playing, having had a knock, that didn't help. We could have really done with him to really hold up some of the play, because so much of our play was rushed. Our crossing just isn't good enough. I think the one decent cross I saw going in was from Kramer, and that's because he drifted out of position down the right to get a cross in, and that was where it was the mad scramble before it was 4-0. I think it was Langstaff that might have had a half chance, but it's just what to do. when you go trick or treating, you expect a few more treats and tricks, and I feel like we're getting tricked into thinking that we had half a decent chance of getting in the playoffs. But if we keep playing like that, even against a good side, I would like to think we'd put up a bit more of a fight, have a bit more gumption about us. But anyway, on to Saturday. May that be yet another wake-up call, but if it's more of the same on Saturday, there's going to be more than hell to pay, I think. Anyway, chin up, lads. Come on, your lines, please.
Good afternoon, Nick. Good afternoon, Achtung Millwall. CBL Jimmy here, leaving you with some thoughts and feelings and musings about that 4-0 drumming from Coventry yesterday. Promised you I would start leaving some of my thoughts and feelings a few weeks back, but haven't got round to the fact yet. Yesterday has certainly pushed me into action, let me tell you. It does come with a few thoughts and feelings that, some of this might come across as contradictory, and forgive me if it's long. Also, forgive me if it's too late. At this point on Thursday late afternoon, but I had to get this off my chest, mate. So forgive me if you don't use it. That's not a problem. But anyway, it felt like strikingly similar to the Middlesbrough game. When we lost 3-0 to Middlesbrough not too long ago, said to my brother who wasn't in attendance but was watching the game, same as last night. He wasn't there, but he was watching the game. I sort of said to him, well, this felt slightly concerning, the way we capitulated and the way those quick-fire goals came at the end of the game. It just looked like our heads had gone and that we'd let our heads drop. Defensively as a unit, we don't look at one. We don't look cohesive. That was then. I did also say to him at that point that, if Middlesbrough are up there come the end of the season, however, it might not seem so bad contextually. The funny thing is that, Middlesbrough are top of the league. And the same could be said for last night's game in a way. There's two ways you can look at it. There's one way of saying, well, 4-0 losing at home to them to anybody, really, isn't acceptable in this league. The other way of looking at it is that, are Coventry one of the best teams in this league? Perhaps they are. Let's look at the league table. Again, it's early doors, but they're up there with Middlesbrough. So when you put it in that context and look at it from that perspective, I mean, it might not be a case of alarm bells need to be ringing just yet. However, there was some major causes for concern last night, and I'm sure everybody that was there in attendance and watched it will probably agree. I find it hard because I haven't looked back on any of the highlights. I haven't listened to Alex Neil's post-match. I find it hard to pinpoint moments in which it went wrong, but it felt from at the start of the game, from minute one, from second one, we were second best to every second ball, to every one-on-one challenge, to every aerial duel, to every bit of space on the pitch, if that makes sense. It just felt like they were quicker, but quicker in thought, quicker athletically than us. The first goal, I don't know if I'm losing track because it was 4, wasn't it? I didn't see the fourth goal. I will admit that I walked out the ground. I don't usually leave early. I've probably done that an handful of times in my whole life. And I'm not a young man. And I've been going to the den for a long time. But I did yesterday. After the third goal, admittedly, I could not watch anymore. And thankfully, really, because I didn't have to then be subject to the fourth. So I can't tell you what happened with the fourth. Left after the third. But the first goal, Tristan Crammer's been fantastic for us. And there's lots of debates going around as to whether or not he should be playing right back or whether or not he should be playing centre back. Shouldn't we be playing Taylor as we've paid £3 million for him? Why is he sitting on the bench? These are all things that you can ask questions about. But the manager's made a decision, and Crammer ultimately has not let us down, has he? Since the minute he came in the door. correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the first significant mistake of any significance that he's made. And lo and behold, it leads to the first goal. I mean, it's one thing that he's made the mistake, but then the fallout from that is a zip across the box and a tap in from, I think it was Hadji Wright, wasn't it, if I'm correct? But yeah, I mean, you couldn't score an easier goal in your career, could you? It's one thing that Cramer's made that mistake. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know why he thought he could take a touch. That needed to go straight away. That's one thing. But then the next thing is like, how have we not regrouped and got enough men in the box to deal with that cross? I know there wasn't a long turnaround in time. It was a quick mistake and a quick zip across the box. But we've really got to be switched on. As soon as we make the mistake, they punished us, put it that way. They looked more efficient. They looked better on the ball. They looked better off the ball. They looked better in the pockets of spaces. It felt like we didn't have any time yesterday. No time on the ball. And when we did try and do something with it, we couldn't really string a sentence together, let alone a pass. So, I mean, the second goal, it just made me laugh. We've tried all game to cross the ball, and Amako's put a few decent ones in. The Serb was anonymous, largely anonymous again last night. I don't know what's happened to him, but his form has definitely fallen off a cliff. I think just to add some perspective as well, it's always important to remember that he is very young. I'll try and speed this up, mate, because we're nearly 6 minutes on. I've hardly got past the first goal. Like I said, it just felt inept. It's a cause for concern. However, there's lots of things to consider, mate, that I'm not sure all of us Millwall fans are the best at doing when we're high on emotion after a 4-0 drumming. But, we got Derek, Del Boy, who don't speak a word of English, who's been just chucked into the limelight. I'm sure that wasn't the plan. Luongo probably on his last legs. Billy Mitchell comes back in yesterday. Was probably one of our better players, if we're being honest, despite not being brilliant. But nothing came off for us. None of these little patterns of play we would try and worked. We kept giving the ball away. You can see what we're trying to do and what we're trying to go for, but we're definitely very much work in progress, aren't we? I mean, just to try and round things up, that second goal, it just made me laugh. We tried to get the ball in the box, tried to pepper the box all game. And Marco was probably one of our better players as well, really put some effort in. Looked like the only one who really wanted it, that was running at them. The only one with any, dare I say it, an iota of quality, which is ironic, isn't it, considering that we're always complaining about his quality in the final third, but that hasn't changed in a sense. But compared to the rest of them, I thought he was head and shoulders above, to be honest, yesterday. What else is there to say? Like I said, Del Boy looked like he was struggling. He looks a bit lost at the minute, but I don't really blame him. He's been thrust in there when we've got no other options. Definitely missed Luongo last night. We need a right back, don't we, gents? We need a right back. I think everybody can see it. Everybody knows it, but the club apparently said it's not a priority. Wes Harding didn't do too badly, but if we want to progress, it's no disrespect to the big man, but he doesn't. We can't be starting Wes Harding against Coventry in games like this of this magnitude. The own form's looking concerning. The body language looking a bit concerning. I mean, I think there's lots to be considered about the starting lineup. I don't know why Kundal came in out of nowhere. What Ray Spanger Williams has done wrong, I don't know, because he can't get a look in, and it's like we're desperate for a little bit of quality in that 10 position. Negley's very hot and cold, more cold than hot at the moment. But again, these are all players that are still adapting to the English game. We've actually had a major overhaul in the summer well, not even just the summer, towards the back end of last season as well, like with the players we bought in January as well. There's a lot to consider. So it's difficult to know where we're actually at, despite being concerned. I'll be able to tell you more in 10, 15 games, but the trouble is, by then, we might be in a spot of bother if things ain't improved. We just look a million miles away from a solid unit. That's all. That's what concerns me. I think I can see what we're aiming for. I can see what the plan in action is, and I can see what the demographic is. You know, what the tick boxes are. We want a younger, more athletic, dynamic squad with resale value. I get all that. But football's played in the here and now. And that team we put out yesterday for the here and now does not look capable of challenging for the top 6, which I'm sure some people thought we were going to be doing this season. I'd love to be proved wrong, and I'd love us to turn around our fortunes quickly. However, I think it might be a long season. I don't think we'll go down, but I don't think we'll go up. We'll have to see what happens, mate. Like I said earlier, at 5 minutes, this message is getting long now, but you can clip this up if you want to, mate, or not use it, eat it, throw it away, whatever you want to do with it. But this is my 2 pence about the game. I kept trying to say it was ironic. I keep losing my train of thought because there's so much to say, but Marco tried his best, bless him, kept putting balls in the box, and then you got Van Uwyk. He showed you how to put a ball in the box, didn't he? Straight on edgy right head. That's what a decent right back can do. I don't know. It's gutting. I don't like us watching us lose ever at the best times, let alone 4-0 like that. But marked improvement needed on the weekend, mate, and I'll definitely be there. But anyway, in the meantime, let's all try and cheer up, shall we? Come on, you Lions, and onwards and upwards to Saturday.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Achtung Millwall. If you're tuning in via Spotify or YouTube, please feel free to comment, like or subscribe as you see fit. God bless. Until the next show then, it's bye for now.
Who do you want to watch?
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.